Government data show there were fewer poor Filipinos in the first half of 2015 compared to the same period in 2012. The numbers also improved for those in extreme poverty. The autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao is still the poorest region in the country. In today's roundtable, we look into this nagging problem and how candidates can improve on efforts to reduce poverty. We have with us here in the studio National Anti-Poverty Commission Director Jesusa or Jessie Rebete, Ateneo de Manila University Economics Professor Alvin Ang, and Social Watch Philippines co-convener Isagani Serrano. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Among the causes of poverty in the country, identified by the Asian Development Bank, lack of jobs, inequality, and high population growth rate. What do you think should the next president zero in on to reduce poverty? Let's begin with Jessie Rebete, ma'am.
I think one of the important things that the incoming administration should be working on is the connectivity between the rural and the urban areas. Because one of the biggest challenge is really how to get the income of the increase in economic growth down to the table of the poor communities. And it can be, one of the strategy is to really connect the poor, link the poor to the, we are calling these economic hubs, the growth centers.
Professor Ang?
Well, I think the president has, the next president can do a lot, but most of the issues that prevails upon poverty has to do with the localities. I think most of the issues right now, inaasa natin the president can do a lot, but there's also a significant effort that needs to be done, related to what Ma'am said, to be done by the local chief executives, because if you look at the poverty data, it is spatial. It's not the same for all places. So that means the causes of poverty are not the same in different parts of the Philippines, while they may be due to jobs, inequality, and high population growth in general. But if you look at the details of that, it will be different. Like some areas are prone to disaster, some areas are agriculture, some areas are fishery. So hindi pwedeng one size fits all solution.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why, apart from connectivity, you need to involve a lot of the local chief executives to work on the poverty in their areas, because they cannot just wait from the national government to give them general programs.
In other words, devolve also.
But it's already devolved.
Well, devolve in a way, parang the problem kasi with Philippine society sometimes is that we wait for things to come down from above, no?
Yes, that's right.
Saka lang tayo gagalaw. Pero pwede namang galing sa ilalim, kumbaga. And then when you say localities, you're talking about making sure that these LGUs also, well, move heaven and earth.
Yeah.
To make their towns, their cities more vibrant, I guess. Yeah. Make people want to stay.
Yes, and find a way what jobs are available there, how they can improve on the current situation there. And if hindi na nila kaya, that's the time they ask help from the national. But as it is right now, yung parang setup is ganun pa, yung national will dictate upon the local, even if we have a devolved or decentralized system.
Everybody's looking to Manila. Okay. Isagani Serrano, Social Watch Philippines co-convener. Gani, sir. Sir Gani, what does the next president need to zero in on?
Well, sa amin sa Social Watch, ang most apt description of the kind of growth that's happening in the country is jobless growth.
Jobless growth.
Jobless growth.
Okay.
So ang simple sana solution is to create jobs, but not simply jobs. Jobs that are really secure and decent, that will give you a dignified living, that will enable you to buy your education, buy your healthcare, buy your entertainment. Ganong dapat na klase ng jobs.
In other words, hindi jobs lang that will see you through the day.
Ay,
so you're saying na hindi pwedeng minimum wage lang tayo
So pag
parati.
tinignan mo ngayon ang level ng employment, unemployment, underemployment natin, doon makikita talaga ang bigat ng problema.
Okay.
Ngayon, because poverty is a complex chain, and it's not simple, you cannot simply root it out to one, this or that cause. So kailangan tingnan mo yung vicious cycle na yan. And you can ask the question, why is there jobless growth? Why jobless to begin with? So baka kailangan tingnan natin the kind of strategy that we are pursuing in development. Na sa akin, if you ask me what's wrong with Philippine development, it's really development of the city.
The city.
That's basically it.
That's exactly what the others were talking about also.
We are beggaring the countryside. We are beggaring the rural in order to
Beggaring,
support.
making
support
people
the
more
city.
poor.
Yeah.
There.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So you cannot have an inclusive growth with that kind of strategy. And what would that reduce you to is to, while you are creating joblessness, then you are trying to catch it by provisioning.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development says more than a third, or 1.5 million family beneficiaries of the Conditional Cash Transfer Program have upgraded their status to non-poor. Many candidates want to continue government CCT program, but who among them, in the view of our guests today or tonight, will bring other solutions to the table and succeed in alleviating poverty if he or she becomes president? Let's begin with Jessie Rebete of NAPSI.
Actually, the CCT is not a dole-out program. It invests on the people. It makes the children to be retained in school as a conditionality of the conditional cash transfer. And within the DSWD, they have this convergence of programs. So aside from giving them pensions in the CCT, they also give a capital assistance so that the livelihood program, so that the livelihood of these families can enter into some productive livelihood projects.
Hanggang dyan na lang ba tayo?
There are other anti-poverty program of the government like the bottom-up budgeting. Bottom-up budgeting, it has
Yung mga
107 billion pesos budget open for the basic sectors and the LGUs to identify projects that they think can address poverty in their locality.
Alvin Ang, are there other solutions that can be brought to the table besides CCT? Whatever.
Essentially, it's the private sector that create jobs. And at the moment, what you really need there is a vibrant private sector that focuses not on few sectors. No, katulad ng pinag-usapan natin kanina, we are very limited in the high-end sectors like BPOs, export. These are productive sectors, but they do not connect to the poor. So you cannot create jobs there that will be sustainable and long-term. Sabi nga
But if you want a vibrant private sector, then you need the government to produce that atmosphere.
Yes,
that will
it's
make
the
it
atmosphere that
yeah.
is very important. That means dito pumapasok yung institutional capacities, yung pagtanggal ng napakaraming regulations and simplify a lot of things, because right now many businesses are only the big ones are actually moving into the direction of producing jobs at pinipili pa nila sa sector na mas madali silang gumalaw, unlike yung mga makailangan na sector. Like for example, in agriculture, around 30% of our workers are in the agricultural sector, but it contributes about less than 10% to GDP. Very high, very low productivity in that sector. And yet, you look at the biggest.
Tapos may drought pa tayo, nagkaroon pa tayo ng Kidapawan. Okay.
Diba? Look at the big, yung mga big investors natin. Nasa agri ba sila? If you think about it, parang dun may gap eh. And that's why bringing the poor and creating jobs for them, you need also to nudge the private sector.
Okay, well, let's go to Gani Serrano.
Ang commitment sa Millennium Development Goals is to cut it to half. So we should have been 15-point-something% or 16% now. Pero nasa 26 pa tayo ang incidence natin. So ang laki ng diferensya. Ngayon nag-commit tayo doon. Ako naman naniniwala that we can do it. It can be done. And there are poster examples for how that poverty has been liquidated. We need not look very far. We need only to look at our neighbors, Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, Thailand, practically, and then the other ones, practically yung poverty dyan, if not totally eliminated, reduced to insignificance.
Can you say
Mag-invest ka
Finland?
sa agri.
Yeah.
Mag-invest ka sa agri, which is the source of poverty. And yung agri mo ang maging foundation noong modernization.
I don't know if this is going to be a fair question, but I had asked it already earlier. But just to wrap things up a bit, who among the candidates, no, in your view, would succeed in alleviating poverty?
Sa tingin ko, if the next president is willing to invest in equalizing the condition, if something can still be done with land reform, yun isang importante yan para ma-equalize yung condition. Because equalization of condition means you have the means to be able to do equal opportunity, di ba?
Alvin Ang?
We know the basic thing to do is to attack agriculture. But how to do it and how to connect it with the rest, doon nagkakaiba-iba. So I think what is really needed is a very clear strategy from how you will attack it.
Okay.
What we have heard so far, puro generalities eh.
Okay. Jessie, Rebecca?
I guess Maro is set to continue the gains of the Aquino administration. And,
Because you are with the administration.
And BP Robredo is set to address the conditions of the rural poor.
Thank you very much for being here. NAPC Director Jessie Rebete, Alvin Ang, Economics Professor, Ateneo de Manila, and Social Watch Philippines Co-Convener Gani Serrano. Thank you. Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming to this election roundtable.